from the moment you get the alert.
We do now have a brand new tornado warning in effect for parts of southern St. Mary's County.
Until the moment you know that the coast is clear.
The tornado warning has been allowed to expire, and the tornado watch has been allowed to expire in Calvert and St. Mary's counties.
JB Weather is with you.
47. I'm forecaster John Bordash here, continuing to keep you ahead of this dangerous storm. You're on this being Polygon. You want to take those tornado safety precautions. Get to the lowest level of your home.
Covering every angle of every storm.
Continues to indicate winds potentially gusting up towards 65 to 70 miles an hour here towards the Chesapeake Ranch Estate.
Providing unparalleled live local coverage.
Towards Chesapeake Beach in about the next 15 minutes, Huntingtown over the next 20 minutes. Towards Great Mills Road, we're looking at heavy rain, we're looking at those gusty winds, and our Chesapeake Surrounding Futurecast actually did a pretty good job of pinpointing where the storm is that could be potentially producing a tornado.
Stay with JB Weather online, on air, or on mobile for local coverage Southern Maryland can count on. From Southern Maryland's weather leader, this is a JB Weather Report.
Good Monday morning, and I'm forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Center this morning, setting just about 6 a.m., continuing to look at all the data and information that is coming in on what looks to be a very active Monday across the region. We are waking up this morning to temperatures in the 60s, which is warmer than we saw at any point yesterday, thanks to southerly flow. This is going to help send temperatures into the 70s as we approach the afternoon hours. At that point, this cold front that is working from west to east will look to kick off a few rounds of storms, and in doing so, we have a level 4 significant risk of severe weather in place for today. Taking you over to live William Richmond Inc. TrueView radar this morning, you can already see where the first of a few of these lines is beginning to develop. We have some prefrontal showers that have begun to develop across portions of Virginia and the Carolinas, moving through Raleigh and approaching Richmond this morning, with a more substantial line of severe weather back towards the Appalachian Mountains. We should begin to see that line die out before it reaches our region, which will allow for our region to see some clearing. If this line up along the Appalachian Mountains does not die out and holds a little bit of its strength, this will actually help to decrease the severe weather risk as we head throughout the day today. Let me get you on over towards Cedar Point Federal Credit Union Future View and begin to time out some of the activity today. We can see that our Future View model here has cloud cover across the region this morning, and it keeps areas of hit and miss drizzle and some cloud cover around as we head towards the mid to late morning hours. How much this sticks around is really going to determine how strong these storms are allowed to get later on today. Any breaks in sunshine will help to increase that severe weather risk. We can see as we approach the lunchtime hour, we begin to see this first round of storms begin to develop as southerly flow really begins to increase. And we will need to watch these storms initially as they may try to rotate thanks to all of the wind energy we have in the atmosphere. We will then begin to see a more substantial line of thunderstorms move through the region between about 4 and 8 o'clock this evening, and this line will have the potential to produce winds upwards of 60 to 70, even up to 80 miles per hour in a few select locations as colder air looks to move into the region. And you can see that line pushes through, and by 9 and 10 o'clock we're beginning to clear things out, but there may even be some snowflakes on the backside of this for areas northwest of Washington, D.C. for maybe 30 minutes to an hour or so as we begin to see everything wrap up. So this just tells you how dynamic of a weather setup we have in place today. But our primary focus up first is going to be this level 4 significant risk of severe weather that is in place across the region, those areas that are shaded in red. This is the first time since 2013 that areas of Southern Maryland have been included in the significant risk, which tells us that we are going to need to keep tabs on this. Now, this is not a promise of widespread severe weather. This is not a promise that your house is going to be getting hit by a tornado today. This does give you a heads up on the potential that exists today, and that's the thing with meteorology. We're always dealing with probabilities, given that the atmosphere is such a difficult thing to forecast. Nevertheless, I am sure that we will get many comments today that say that the forecast is busted because your specific location may not have seen an 80-mile-an-hour wind gust. But again, this forecast is here to alert you to that potential. We're going to have to watch those prefrontal storms between about 11 and 4 today to potentially produce some hail or maybe even a quick spin-up tornado, especially along coastal communities. And then it's going to be that main squall line that pushes through between about 3 and 8, 4 and 9 o'clock going on into this evening. The primary risk today really does continue to look to be damaging winds, and that's what I want to hone your attention in on. Any storm within that main squall line that moves through this evening will have the potential to have wind gusts upwards of 60 to 80 miles per hour in a few locations. That could definitely cause damage and maybe even a few isolated outages. Tornadoes will be possible today. I do not think we're looking at a Midwest tornado outbreak of multiple EF3 plus tornadoes, but weak spin-ups are definitely going to be possible, and we will need to be watching storms as they cross from the northern neck of Virginia across the Potomac River into southern Maryland. That lack of land and the increase of water really helps to lessen the friction as storms move over the river, which can really help to increase spin in the atmosphere. So again, any storm will need to be watched today. With this in mind, many schools have gone ahead and decided to close early across the region, from St. Mary's County, Calvert, Charles, Prince George's, and Anne Arundel County, all closing at least 2 hours early today. Many schools across Northern Virginia are deciding to close or go virtual for today, and those early dismissals extend all the way up to the state line. Putting it all together, we're going to have to watch the showers and downpours that are beginning to move into the region this morning. How strong do they get? How quickly do they move out? We should be able to get into a break probably mid to late morning today before we see more storms develop around lunchtime, and we will need to watch those to see if they're able to quickly spin up and produce a quick tornado. Our main action will come this evening as that squall line pushes through, with gusts potentially up to 70 miles per hour in a few storms, which could cause some isolated outages, and there could be some embedded spin-ups. Where I will leave you today is just to keep in mind your severe weather action plan. Have an action plan in place on if there is a warning issued, where are you going to go? We need a substantial shelter to protect you from severe weather. A trailer, a shed, an awning, a pavilion, these are not good locations. You want a building with a foundation. Within that building, are you able to get into the basement, or is there just a first floor? If there is a basement, how can you access that quickly? If it is just a first floor, that is totally okay, but then point 3 becomes even more important. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible as we look at severe weather moving through. You want to protect yourself from flying debris if there is indeed a tornado touchdown or winds gusting upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour in a few storms. Keep all of this in mind as we move through today because, again, we have a very active weather day on top thanks to this level 4 significant risk. I'll be in the Storm Center continuing to track all the latest developments with today's weather setup and providing live coverage as storms begin to move through. I would anticipate watches and warnings to be issued later on this morning going into the afternoon, and you're going to want to have a way to get those warnings and watches. I think JB Weather is a pretty good place to get that information. You can always access my forecasts and coverage on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, or X, YouTube, as well as the website jbweather.net. In the meantime, I'm forecaster John Bordash. Please keep it tuned right here to JB Weather for the latest information to keep you and your family one step ahead of the storm.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.